Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're gathered today on the 7th of the 6th month on our Creator's calendar as we comprehend it, which coincides with the 15th of August, 2026 on the Gregorian calendar. And we are going to be continuing with our chronological study of the scriptures today. We're currently on 1st Shemuel or 1st Kings, depending on how you reckon it. Just for clarity, in the Septuagint translation, or in some of the translations, it has first through four kings. And in the common versions that we have, the Masoretic text and whatnot, it's broken up into first and second Samuel, and then first and second Kings. But it really covers the same events here. However, we talked about the chronology of how things were a little out of order in the Bible, and I wanted to share this with you. I don't necessarily agree with the numbers that you see on the screen, but the general order of events seem to be lined up with what is in Scripture. The only part that I don't know of for sure, I'm not as certain about, is the co-reign right here with Samson and Jephthah, Ibaz, Elon, and Abdon. However, I do want to point out that this website argues everything they believe and they share all this stuff with a lot of information. So it's not just them putting it out there, they actually give you the secular history behind it and other things that were going on to try to confirm that these are actually real. So I don't want to just discredit what they say there. But I do want to go over it real quick with you. As you can see, the general events here, when they first came into the time of Judges after the conquest and the death of Yahushua and everything, the first things that really happened in idolatry is that Dan transplants Ephraim's idolatry to Laish, right? And they name it there. And they took Yahu Nathan, Moshe's grandson, to be their Kohen. Unfortunately, those Danites with the children of Moshe were apostate for quite a long time. They spread out from there into Greece. They went from Greece into Ireland, and they had Baal worship for uh, thousands of years. So it was something that they were, unfortunately, tragically, they chose to associate themselves with very early on. But after that, and that seemed like Yahuda Ish Kiriot, okay, as a tribe. This is mentioned by in the Testaments of the 12 patriarchs by Dan himself. And you see the other references of this by Hippolytus, the taught one who was the overseer in Rome, not in Italy, not Rome, not the city, but the country, right? He was an overseer in Rome, the country, and he was a taught one of Irenaeus. He wrote about Dan and how he was associated with the Antichrist or the anti-Mashiach through the entirety of the tribe and what they were doing as a type of what you can see in the scriptures. Not far off from the reality of that, if you know that most of the Danites that were in Ireland became the Roman Irish Catholics. But after Dan's idolatry, then you have Othniel, the nephew of Caleb, I believe it was, who married his daughter. And then after that, this is when Naomi with her husband and their two sons go into Moab and they have first meet with Ruth and marry them and whatnot. After the time of their oppression, sorry, Eglon is killed, and that's when Naomi returns, and you have the book of Ruth right here, but we read it at the end. And this is during the reign of Eliud after he defeats Eglon there. And after that, you have the time of Gideon, Abimelech, Tola, and Yair, which coincides. Part of Gideon's reign right here is with Shamgar and Deborah, as you can see. And then afterwards, you had the peace of Deborah and Gideon. And that all coincides with this time. And then you have the rest of these judges until you get to Jephthah. And as you can see, when they overlap, they're co-ruling because there was no king in Israel, if you recall. There was different rulers, district rulers, if you want to call them that. And that's what the judges were. They were judging over the peoples in different areas at the time, but there was no universal rulership. So this was during the time of Jephthah, Abaz, Elon, and Abdon, and that was concurrent with Samson in the south there with the Philistines, which was concurrent with Eli's reign, who was 90 years old when he died, and then Shemuel's time. And when Shemuel was alive, he had crowned Shaul, who was king for 40 years. It says 42 here. And then Dawid for 40 years. And that takes us to the from the time of Judges at the beginning of or at the end of the conquest all the way to when Shlomo was establishing the temple 480 years after they left Egypt. And I'll try to leave this link in the Telegram and also in the description of the video so anyone can check this out for themselves, okay? But until then, we'll go ahead and continue with our read through here of chapter 7 of Shemuel. So this is they of Kiriath Yearim bring the ark into the house of Abinadab and sanctify Eleazar his son to keep it. After 20 years, the Israeli by Shemuel's means solemnly repent at Mitzvah. While Shemuel prays and sacrifices, Yahuwah discomforts the Philistines by thunder at Ebenezer. Ebenezer is the stone of my help, or the stone of my strength. The Philistines are subdued. Shemuel peaceably and religiously judges Israel, or Yisrael. It says, and the men of Kiriath Yearim came and bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, and they bring it into the house of Aminadab in the hill, and they set apart Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. And it came to pass from that time that the ark was in Kiriath Yearim, the days were multiplied, and the time was 20 years, and all the house of Yisrael looked after Yahuwah. And Shemuel spoke to all the house of Yisrael, saying, if you do with all your heart return to Yahuwah, take away the strange mighty ones from the midst of you, and the groves, and prepare your hearts to serve Yahuwah, and serve him only, and he shall deliver you from the hand of the Philistines. And the children of Yisrael took away the Baalim, or they took away the lords, and the groves of Ashtaroth, which we call the Christmas tree groves, right? And served Yahuwah only. And Shemuel said, gather all Yisrael to Mitzvah, and I will pray for you to Yahuwah. And they were gathered together to Mitzvah, and they drew water and poured it out upon the earth before Yahuwah. And they fasted on that day and said, we have sinned before Yahuwah. And Shemuel judged the children of Yisrael in Mitzvah. And the Philistines heard that all the children of Yisrael were gathered together to Mitzvah. And the lords of the Philistines went up against Yisrael. And the children of Yisrael heard, and they feared before the Philistines. And that's one of the things you can also read in Gad the seer, that at one point Dawid himself feared before the Philistines, and Yahuwah told him not to, and he received of a great deliverance. And I do believe that was the first reference by the not by might nor by power, but by my Ruach, I think. I might be mistaken on that. I'd have to check again. But for anyone who's not familiar, the book of Gad the seer was purported to be written and put together by Gad the seer, the foreteller, who also kept the histories of the records during the reign of Dawid, along with Shemuel and Iddo and I think one other. We don't have all of those writings, but we do have Shemuel's here, and Gad the seers was returned to us in the course of time. So I always recommend everyone to check that out if they can. I have a free copy on online on internetarchive.org as well. But we'll continue here. It says, and the children of Yisrael said to Shemuel, cease not to cry to Yahuwah your Elohim for us, and he shall save us out of the hands of the Philistines. And Shemuel took a sucking lamb, and offered it up as a whole burnt offering with all the people to Yahuwah. And Shemuel cried to Yahuwah for Yisrael, and Yahuwah heard him. And Shemuel was offering the whole burnt offering, and the Philistines drew near to war against Yisrael. And Yahuwah thundered with a mighty sound in that day upon the Philistines, and they were confounded and overthrown before Yisrael. And the men of Yisrael went forth out of Mitzvah, and pursued the Philistines, and smote them to the parts under Beit, Beit, Beit-chor, Beth-kar, Beit-kar, sorry. So sometimes they'll make the K into a CH there, and they'll put the CH into a K with the other, the Chait. It's just the way the language changed, or it's a phenomenon with it. Like you say Baruch or Barak, right? Both are legitimate uses of the same word. And Shemuel took a stone and set it up between Mitzvah and the old city, and he called the name of it Ebenezer, stone of the helper. For he said, hitherto has Yahuwah helped us, or even to this point, right? So Yahuwah humbled the Philistines, and they did not any more come into the border of Yisrael. And the hand of the Yahuwah was against the Philistines all the days of Shemuel. And the cities which the Philistines took from the children of Yisrael were restored. And they restored them to Yisrael from Ashkelon to Azab. And they took the coast of Yisrael out of the hand of the Philistines. And there was shalom between Yisrael and the Amorite. And Shemuel judged Yisrael all the days of his life. And he went year by year, and went round Bethel, and Gilgal, and Mitzvah. And he judged Yisrael in all these consecrated places. And this is where we get the concept of our circuit judges in American jurisprudence or judicial system there. I don't know if any of them still do it today, but once upon a time we had judges that would do circuits around to administer right ruling for the people, just as Shemuel did here. And if you know that our laws were according to the common law, and that when you had a suit in the common law against another was for injuries or damages or violation of the Torah, then all of this is literally obedience to the truth. But it's not something that's done anymore. Now it's been hijacked by canon law or man-made code and rules and statutes and things that are arbitrary and oppressive put over the simple, plain, um, flowing easiness of the common law. If there is no injury, there is no crime, right? Chapter 8 says, by occasion of the ill government of Shemuel's sons, the Israeli asked a king. Shemuel, praying in grief, is comforted by Elohim. He tells the manner of a king. Elohim wills Shemuel to yield unto the importunity of the people. Now, I want you to see cause and effect here. It's not always pleasant, but this is something that we've had to deal with for a very long time in history. And thankfully, it was a thing that was done away with in our country. Samuel Adams was the one who, when he signed the Declaration in 54 years old, stated, we have this day returned the sovereignty to whom all men ought to be obedient. He reigns in the heavens above and the earth below. Um, from the rising of the sun till it's going, let his kingdom come. And I'm paraphrasing. Sorry, I had an alarm start going off right next to me. So if you can hear that, please forgive me. But either way, he declared at the signing of the declaration that now men were no longer in the state that they subjected themselves to at this time. And we are forsaking that by our not standing on our own sovereignty in our country. It's a sad thing, but all we have to do is repent. However, it says, and it came to pass when Shemuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. And these are the names of his sons. Joel, it says, but Yahuel would be one way of pronouncing that. They don't have it that way here. It just has a yod wah. The book of Joel is also the same thing, but uh, in the Assyrian records, whenever they wrote the name that way or any of these names, it was always with Yahu. And it was only after the captivities when they were being called Yahoos and heathens were blaspheming his name that the adversary was convincing others to not call him the name, to keep it sacred, and to do these other things. It was reflected in the use or removal of his name in some of these words, especially when they were there beforehand. Um, but the restoration is also foretold, and it's a time that we actually love him in truth and reason, right? But it says Yahuel the firstborn, and the name of the second was Abiah, judges in Beersheba, or the well of the oath. And his sons did not walk in his way, and they turned aside after gain, and took gifts and perverted judgments. And the men of Israel gathered themselves together and come to Amarathim to Shemuel. And they said to him, behold, you are grown old, and your sons walk not in your way. And now set over us a king to judge us, as also the other nations. And the thing was evil in the eyes of Shemuel, when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Shemuel prayed to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, hear the voice of the people, in whatever they shall say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from reigning over them, according to all their doings which they have done to me from the day that I brought them out of Egypt, or Mizraim, until this day, even as they have deserted me and served other mighty ones, so they do also to you. And now hearken to their voice. Only you shall solemnly testify to them, and you shall describe to them the manner of the king who shall reign over them. And Shemuel spoke every word of Yahuwah to the people who were asking of him a king. And he said, this shall be the manner of the king that shall rule over you. He shall take your sons and put them in his chariots and among his horsemen and running before his chariots, meaning they're going to be fighting his wars for him. And his manner shall be to make them to himself captains of hundreds and captains of thousands, and to reap his harvest, and gather his vintage, and prepare his instruments of war, and the implements of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your good olive yards, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tithe of your seed and your vineyards, and give it to his eunuchs and to his servants. And he will take your servants and your handmaidens, and your good herds and your donkeys, and will take the tenth of them for his works. And he will tithe your flocks, and you shall be his servants. And you shall cry out in that day because your king whom you have chosen to yourselves, and Yahuwah shall not hear you in those days, because you have chosen to yourself a king. But the people would not hearken to Shemuel, and they said to him, Nay, but there shall be a king over us, and we also will be like all the nations, and our king shall judge us, and we shall go out, and shall go out before us, and fight our battles. And Shemuel heard all the words of the people, and spoke them in the ears of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, Hearken to their voice, and appoint them a king. And Samuel, or Shemuel, said to the men of Israel, Let each man depart to his city. All right, now the anointing of Shaul and his becoming a king. Keep in mind that everything's in a parable, and this is trying to reflect the truth of what is going to happen. So while he's out looking for his father's donkeys, they're returned without him. Okay? But in the meantime, he's anointed as king, foretells, and does other things. So it says, Shaul despairing to find his father's donkeys by counsel of his servant and direction of the young maidens, according to Elohim's revelation, comes to Shemuel. Samuel entertains Shaul at the feast. Samuel, after secret communication, brings Shaul or Saul on his way. And there was a man of the sons of Benjamin, and his name was Kish. And if you remember, this is part of why I wanted to show you that. This is when the Benjamites went apostate. The sodomy of Benjamin was around the fall of Troy, 1290 BC. And now you're all the way over here, several hundred years after that, where they have a chance to replenish their numbers somewhat. And that's why you can see the numbers of the sons of Benjamin that serve Shaul are so high. In the Masoretic text, it doesn't have that account until the end here, which would make this not feasible. Excuse me. It says, And there was a man of the sons of Benjamin, and his name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Yared, the son of Bakir, the son of Ephek, the son of Benjamin, or a son of a Benjaminite, a man of might. And this man had a son, and his name was Shaul, of great stature, a goodly man. And there was not among the sons of Israel a goodlier than he. Excuse me. High above all the people from his shoulders and upwards. So he was very tall compared to everyone else. And the donkeys of Kish, the father of Shaul, were lost, like the donkeys of his two people being stubborn and lost right now and in need of saving. That's the parable there. And Kish said to Shaul his son, Take with you one of the young men, and arise you and go seek the donkeys. And they went through Mount Ephraim, and they went through the land of Selcha, and they found them not. And they passed through the land of Segilim, and they were not there. Segalim, Segula is the treasured possession, where he talks about his people being his prized possession or his treasured people. That's the Segula. So the Segalim is the treasured. And they were not there, and they passed through the land of Yamin and found them not. I believe that's the right hand. So they're not in his treasured place and they're not in the right hand. They're missing. And when they came to Sif, then Shaul said to his young man that was with him, Come and let us return, lest my father leave the donkeys and take care of us. And the young man said to him, Behold, now there is a man of Elohim in this city, and the man is of high repute. All that he shall speak will surely come to pass. Now let us go and that he may tell us our way on which we have set out. And Shaul said to his young man that was with him, Behold, then we will go, but what shall we bring the man of Elohim? For the loaves are spent out of our vessels, and we have nothing more with us that belongs to us to bring to the man of El. And the young man answered Shaul again, and said, Behold, there is found in my hand a fourth part of a shekel of silver, and you shall give it to the man of Elohim, and he shall tell us our way. Now before time in Yisrael, everyone going to inquire of Elohim said, Come and let us go to the seer. For the people before time called the foreteller, the seer. And just so you can see, the word for foreteller or prophet is nabi, and the word for a seer is a ra'ah, or related to ra'ah, which is to gaze upon or see, literally seeing. If you remember, it was in Alexander Hislop's Two Babylons where shows that the false female mighty one, Rhea, comes from the Hebrew Ra'ah, right here, the gazer. And Shaul, I was just trying to say, she was called the gazer. That was a common use of that term. It was turned into a female pagan mighty one, but it's a term for the seer here in Hebrew. It says, And Shaul said to his servant, Well said, come and let us go. And they went to the city where the man of Elohim was. And they went up to the ascent to the city, and they went up the ascent to the city. They find damsels come out to draw water, and they say to them, Is the seer here? And the virgins answered them and said to them, He is, behold, before you. Now he is coming to the city because of the day. For today, a sacrifice for the people in Bama. And Bama means a high place. As soon as you shall enter into the city, you shall find him in the city, or so you shall find him in the city, before he goes up to Bama to eat. For the people will not eat until he comes in, for he blesses the sacrifice, and afterward the guests eat. Now then go up, for you shall find him because of the holiday. And they go up to the city, and as they are entering into the midst of the city, behold, Shemuel came out to meet them, to go up to Bama. And Yahuwah uncovered the ear of Shemuel one day before Shaul came to him, saying, At this time tomorrow I will send to you a man out of the land of Benjamin, and you shall anoint him to be ruler over my people, Yisrael, and he shall save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon the humiliation of my people, for their cry is come unto me. And Shemuel looked upon Shaul, and Yahuwah answered him, Behold the man of whom I spoke to you, this one shall rule over my people. And Shemuel drew near to and Shaul drew near to Shemuel into the midst of the city, and said, Tell me now which is the house of the seer. And Shemuel answered Shaul and said, I am he. Go up before me to Bama, to eat with me today, and I will send you away in the morning, and I will tell you all that is in my heart. And concerning your donkeys that have been lost now these 3 days, care not for them. These 3 days is significance. There's that theme all throughout the scriptures about the 3 days before the deliverance from Yahushua or the resurrection. Some type of deliverance for Dawid as well. But it says they've been lost for now these 3 days. Care not for them, for they are found. And to whom does the excellency of Yisrael belong? Does it not to you and to your father's house? And Shaul answered and said, am not I the son of a Benjamite, the least tribe of the people of Yisrael, and of the least family of the whole tribe of Benjamin? And why have you spoken to me according to this word? And Shemuel took Shaul and his servant and brought them to the inn, and set them there in a place among the chief of those that were called, about 70 men. And Samuel said to the cook, give me the portion which I gave you, which I told you to set by you, or by thee. Now the cook had broiled the shoulder and set it before Shaul. And Samuel said to Shaul, behold that which is left, set before you, and eat, for it is set for you for a testimony in preference to the others. Take of it. And Shaul ate with Samuel on that day. And he went down from Bama into the city, and they prepared a lodging for Shaul on the roof, and he lay down. And it came to pass when the morning dawned that Shemuel called Shaul on the roof, saying, rise up, and I will dismiss you. And Saul rose, and he and Samuel went out. And as they went down to a part of the city, Samuel said to Shaul, speak to the young man and let him pass on before us. And do you stand as today and hearken to the word of Elohim. All right. And then this is chapter 10. It says Samuel anoints Shaul or Saul. He confirms him by prediction of three signs. Saul's heart is changed and he foretells. He conceals the matter of the kingdom from his uncle, which I was always curious about this at first. I never really connected the dots. But you find that in the Testament of Louis, when he receives the visions, two of them, and the foretellings about him being the high Kohen or being given the kahuna, the priesthood, he likewise does not reveal it to his brothers. And when I had read that part, I instantly realized, well, that's because of the jealousy of what happened with Yahusuf. He didn't want the same thing there. And then this is just an echo later down. Without contention, they didn't want to conceal it. And to know about that being the reason for this, you can find the account in Josephus actually states it plainly. So to tie all those together. Then Saul is chosen at mitzvah by Lot. So anointed once and confirmed again. That's two witnesses to confirm every matter. And then all the people agree to it, which is the unanimous consent of the governed. The different affections of his subjects. Oh, I'm sorry. When this happens, you notice there is not unanimous consent of the governed. There's dissension right from the bat. And then there's a theme that goes on from that. The contrast with David was that he would not return to the city until he was brought in by both houses. But right here it says, and Samuel took a vial of oil and poured it on his head and kissed him and said to him, has not Yahuwah anointed you for a ruler over his people, over Yisrael? And you shall rule among the people of Yahuwah, and you shall save them out of the hands of their enemies. And this shall be a sign to you that Yahuwah has anointed you for a ruler over his inheritance. As soon as you have departed from me this day from me, you shall find two men by the burial place of Rachel on the mount of Benjamin, exulting greatly. And they shall say to you, the donkeys are found which you went to seek. And behold, your father has given up the matter of the donkeys, and is anxious for you, saying, what shall I do for my son? And you shall depart thence, and shall go beyond that as far as the oak of Tabor, and you shall find there three men going up to the El of Bethel, or going up to El to Bethel. one bearing 3 kids, and another bearing 3 vessels of bread, and another bearing a bottle of wine. And they shall ask you how you do, and shall give you 2 presents of bread, and you shall receive them in their hand. So after he's anointed, he's presented with the 2 presents of bread, which represent the 2 houses being given into his hands. If you can see this prophetically, this is the same 2 houses that are brought up as the first fruits of the renewed covenant on Shavuot kind of picture. But we'll continue. And you shall receive them from their hand. And afterward you shall go up to the hill of Elohim, where is the encampment of the Philistines. There Nasib the Philistine. And it shall come to pass when you shall have entered into the city, that you shall meet a band of foretellers coming down from the Bama, or the high place. And before them will be lutes and a drum, and a pipe, and a harp, and they shall foretell. And the Ruach of Yahuwah shall come upon you, and you shall foretell with them, and shall be turned into another man. And it shall come to pass when these signs shall come upon you, then do you whatsoever your hand shall find, because Elohim is with you. And you shall go down in front of Gilgal, and behold, I come down to you to offer a whole burnt offering and shalom offerings. 7 days shall you wait until I shall come to you, and I will make known to you what you shall do. This is the part where he fails, but we'll see that in the course of time. And it came to pass when he turned his back to depart from Samuel, Elohim gave him another heart, and all these signs came to pass in that day. And he comes thence to the hill, and behold, a band of foretellers opposite to him. And the Ruach of Elohim came upon him, and he foretold in the midst of them. And all that had known him before came and saw, and behold, he was in the midst of the foretellers. And the people said, every one to his neighbor, what is this that has happened to the son of Kish? Is Shaul also among the foretellers? And one of them answered and said, and who is his father? And therefore it became a proverb. Is Shaul among the prophets, or also among the prophets, or Nebi'im? And he ceased foretelling and comes to the hill. And his kinsmen said to him and to his servant, whither you went? And they said, to seek the donkeys. And we saw that they were lost, and we went in to Samuel. And his kinsman said to Shaul, tell me, I pray you, what did Samuel say to you? And Shaul said to his kinsman, he verily told me that the donkeys were found. But the matter of the kingdom he told him not. And Samuel summoned all the people before Yahuwah to Mitzvah. Now, that's another thing I want you to see. Who would imagine being sent off to find some stray animals of your father that you'd be gone? And in the course of that, it was all intentionally brought about so that you could be crowned king over the people. If you can't regard that the Almighty rules in the affairs of men, and all things work to your benefit when you are loving Elohim and walking according to his purpose, right? You can see that play out all throughout Scripture, including in right here. Everyone in the renewed covenant who's anointed should have this kind of power with the truth flowing through you. And that's why it mentions that everyone, the least in the kingdom, would be greater than Yahuwah on the immerser, because he had no overt signs, right? No power from manifest from the Ruach like that. But to continue here, and Samuel summoned all the people before Yahuwah to Mitzvah. And he said to the children of Yisrael, Thus has Yahuwah Elohim of Yisrael spoken, saying, I brought up the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim, and I rescued you out of the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and out of all the kingdoms that afflicted you. And you have this day rejected Elohim, who is himself your deliverer out of all your evils and afflictions. And you say, Nay, but you shall set a king over us. And now stand before Yahuwah according to your tribes and according to your families. And Shemuel brought nigh all the tribes of Yisrael, and the tribe of Benjamin is taken by lot. And he brings near the tribe of Benjamin by families, and the family of Matari is taken by lot. And they bring near the family of Matari, man by man, and Shaul the son of Kish is taken, and he sought him, but he was not found. And Shemuel asked yet again of Yahuwah, Will the man come here? And Yahuwah said, Behold, he is hid among the stuff. And he ran and took him thence, and set him in the midst of the people. And he was higher than all the people by his shoulders and upwards. And Shemuel said to all the people, Have you seen whom Yahuwah has chosen to himself? That there is none like him among all of you, or like all you? And the people took notice and said, Let the king live. And Shemuel told the people the manner of the king, and wrote it in a book, and set it before Yahuwah. And Shemuel sent away all the people, and each went to his place. And Shaul departed to his house in Gibeah, or Gabaa, and there went with Shaul mighty men, whose hearts Elohim had touched. But evil men said, Who is this man that he shall save us? And they despised him and brought him no gifts. That's the inversion, if you will, in the renewed covenant times, or you can see afterwards David's unanimous consent. And then it's a requirement throughout the renewed covenant. Whenever you have anyone given a position of ministration or leadership, if you want to call it that, but the greater you are, the more of a servant you have to be, is essentially the effect of it. Excuse me. So this is the part that we had a missing section on. This is actually missing the first part of the chapter, and we talked about it beforehand. It is in the Dead Sea Scrolls, though, if I can, excuse me, get that part out of the way there. There we go. So right here, I have a link to a whole website that talks about this missing paragraph, but we just want to read it for continuity's sake. It says, And Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, was oppressing the children of Gad and the children of Reuben by force. And he gouged out all their right eyes and put terror and fear upon Israel, or Yisrael. And there was not left a man among the children of Yisrael beyond the Jordan, who Nahash, king of the children of Ammon, did not gouge every right eye. Only 7,000 men fled from the children of Ammon, and they came to Yabash Gilad, or Galaad. And it came to pass after about a month. Um, it says that Nahash the Amorite came up and encamped against Yabash Gilad, and all the men of Yabash Gilad said to Nahash the Amorite, Cut with us a covenant, and we shall be your servants. Nahash the Ammonite said to them, By this I will cut with you a covenant. So you can see there's the collection of what happened beforehand, where he actually attacked them and stuff was going on where they put terror into them. And then they fled to that place. The remnant that had not been abused already fled to this place and was sieged. And that's where it actually picks up right here. See? And it came to pass about a month after this, right, that Nahash the Amorite went up and encamped against Yabash Gilad or Gilead. And that's after a month after he had done what he did with all the people there. But you don't have that part in the text. And all the men of Yabash said to Nahash the Ammonite, make a covenant with us and we will serve you. And Nahash the Ammonite said to them, on these terms will I make a covenant with you, that I should put out all your right eyes, and I will lay a reproach upon Yisrael. The purpose was that they couldn't fight. You had your shield arm and your you couldn't use your shield and your sword the way they used to do it back then with only your right eye. You lose depth perception without both of them, and it's hard to fight that way. And the men of Yabash say to him, allow us 7 days, and we will send messengers into all the coasts of Yisrael. If there should be no one to deliver us, we will come out to you. And the messengers came to Gibeah to Saul, and they spake the words into the ears of the people. And all the people lifted up their voice and wept. And behold, Shaul came after the early morning out of the field. And Shaul said, why does the people weep? And they tell him the words of the men of Yabash. And the Ruach of Yahuwah came upon Shaul when he heard these words, and his anger was greatly kindled against them. And he took 2 cows and cut them in pieces and sent them into all the coasts of Israel by the hand of messengers, saying, whoso comes not forth after Saul and after Samuel, so shall they do this to his oxen. And a transport from Yahuwah came upon the people of Israel, and they came out to battle as one man. And he reviews them at Bezek and Bama, every man of Israel 600,000, and the men of Yahudah 70,000. And he said to the messengers that came, thus shall you say to the men of Yabesh, tomorrow you shall have deliverance when the sun is hot. And the messengers came to the city and told the men of Yabesh, and they rejoiced. And the men of Yabesh said to Nahash the Ammonite, tomorrow we will come forth to you, and you shall do to us whatever seems good in your sight. And it came to pass on the morrow that Saul divided the people into 3 companies, and they go into the midst of the camp in the morning watch, and they smote the children of Ammon until the day was hot. And it came to pass that those who were left were scattered, and there were not left among them 2 together. So when they're walking right, 5 will come together and they'll flee all in separate directions, right? You see the same thing happens here. And the people said to Shemuel, who has said that Shaul shall not reign over us, give the men and we will put them to death. And Saul said, no man shall die this day, for today Yahuwah has wrought deliverance in Yisrael. Yisrael, sorry. And Samuel spoke to the people, saying, let us go to Gilead, and there renew the kingdom. And all the people went to Gilead, and Samuel anointed Shaul there to be king before Yahuwah in Gilgal. And there he offered meat offerings and shalom offerings before Yahuwah. And Samuel and all Yisrael rejoiced exceedingly. So forgive me, that was not the part where he offered, or he messed up the offering. That's later on here. I think we've got time for one more at least. So this is chapter 12. says Samuel testifies his integrity. He reproves the people of ingratitude. He terrifies them with thunder in harvest time. He comforts them in Elohim's mercy. And this is to show because the people still didn't get it. So he wanted to let them know that Yahuwah was not pleased with this turn of events and asking for a man to rule over them rather than him. It ultimately worked out for his benefit because he came in the flesh to serve and rule over us as a man, right? And that was known and foretold. He knew it was going to happen. But our desiring someone other than our creator to rule over us is an abomination to him. So subjecting your will to another without question is not something he prefers. And Samuel said to all Yisrael, Behold, I have hearkened to your voice in all things that you have said to me, and I have set a king over you. And now, behold, the king does go before you, and I am grown old and shall rest. And behold, my sons are among you, and behold, I have gone out before you from my youth to this day. Behold, here I am. Answer against answer against me before Yahuwah and before his Mashiach. Whose calf have I taken, or whose donkey have I taken? Or of you have I oppressed? Or from whose hand have I taken a bribe, even to a sandal? Bear witness against me, and I will make restitution to you. And they said to Samuel, You have not injured us, and you have not oppressed us, and you have not afflicted us, and you have not taken anything from anyone's hand. And Shemuel said to the people, Yahuwah is witness among you, and his Mashiach is witness this day, that you have not found anything in my hand. And they said, He is witness. And they said, Witness. And Samuel spoke to the people, saying, Yahuwah, who appointed Moshe and Aharon, is witness, who brought our fathers up out of Mitzrayim. And now stand still, and I will judge you before Yahuwah. And I will relate to you all the righteousness of Yahuwah, the things which he has wrought among you and your fathers. When Yaakov and his sons went into Mitzrayim, and Mitzrayim humbled them, then our fathers cried out to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah sent Moshe and Aharon, and they brought our fathers out of Egypt. And he made them to dwell in this place. And they forgot Yahuwah their Elohim, and they sold them into the hands of Sisera, captain of the host of Yabesh, king of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hands of the king of Moab, and he fought with them. And they cried to Yahuwah and said, We have sinned, for we have forsaken Yahuwah, and have served the lords and the groves. And now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve you. And he sent Yerubbaal, and Barak, and Jephthah, and Shemuel, and rescued us out of the hand of our enemies round about, and you dwelt in security. And you saw that Nahash, king of the children of Ammon, came against you. And you said, Nay, none but a king shall reign over us, whereas Yahuwah our Elohim is our king. And now behold the king whom you have chosen, and behold, Yahuwah has set a king over you. If you should fear Yahuwah and serve him and hearken to his voice, and not resist the mouth of Yahuwah, and you and your king that reigns over you shall follow Yahuwah. But If you should not hearken to the voice of Yahuwah, you should resist them, and you should resist the mouth of Yahuwah, and then shall the hand of Yahuwah be upon you and upon your king. And this is the blessing of the curse on obedience that affects the people over you as well as yourself. That same phenomenon works in the household, and you see this play out in Chronicles, Kings, and in the book of Gad the seer. When the people upset Yahuwah, he allowed Satan to entice Dawid to number them, and doing so was a sin. So the people got the plague, and Dawid repented of it too. The point is, it has to affect the leadership down to affect the people, the head on down. That's why our Mashiach had to suffer, because when we look to that, we'll stop sinning. It says, and now behold the king whom you have chosen, and behold, Yahuwah has set a king over you. I already read that one, sorry. And now stand still and see this great thing which Yahuwah will do before your eyes. Is not the wheat harvest today? I will call upon Yahuwah, and he shall send thunder and rain. And know you and see that your wickedness is great, which you have wrought before Yahuwah, having asked for yourselves a king. And Shemuel called upon Yahuwah, and Yahuwah sent thunders and rain in that day. And all the people feared greatly Yahuwah and Shemuel. And all the people said to Shemuel, pray for your servants to Yahuwah your Elohim, and let us not die, for we have added to all our sins the iniquity, or this iniquity, in asking for us a king. And Samuel said to the people, fear not, you have indeed wrought all this iniquity. Only turn not from following Yahuwah, and serve Yahuwah with all your heart. Turn not aside after the Elohim that are nothing, who will do nothing and will not deliver, because they are nothing. For Yahuwah will not cast off his people for his great name's sake, because Yahuwah graciously took you to himself for a people. And far be it from me to sin against Yahuwah in ceasing to pray for you. But I will serve Yahuwah and show you the good and right way. Only fear Yahuwah and serve him in truth and with all your heart. And for you, see what great things he has wrought with you. But if you continue to do this evil, you and your king, or then shall you and your king be consumed. It seems like we might actually have a little more time there. Give me just 1 second. Okay, we're continuing with 1 Samuel chapter 13, and this is Saul's selected band. He calls the Hebrews to Gilgal against the Philistines, whose garrison Yahu Nathan had smitten. And this is one of the best parts I have for asking a prayer in belief, or doing things in belief and letting the truth respond in kind so that you can see that he's with you, right? Everyone can ask for prayers and function in this manner and then walk accordingly as he allows you to go. The Philistines' great host, the distress of the Yisraeli, Shaul, wary of staying for Samuel, sacrifices. Samuel reproves him, the three spoiling bands of the Philistines, the policy of the Philistines to suffer no smith in Yisrael. Now it says that there's a missing verse right here. Shaul reigned 1 year, and when he reigned 2 years over Israel. Now that reads a little weird. The Josephus' account's a little weird, and this one just removes it. whatever that was meant to say, the gist of it is basically he was reigning for about a year while he had the reign. And then in the second one is when this happened. And Shaul chooses for himself 3,000 men of the men of Yisrael. And there were with Shaul 2,000 who were in Michmash and in Mount Bethel. And 1,000 were with Yahunathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And he sent the rest of the people, every man to his tent. And Yahunathan smote Nasib the Philistine, and dwelt in the hill. And the Philistines hear of it, and Shaul sounds the trumpet through all the land, saying, the servants have despised. And all Yisrael heard say, Shaul has smitten Nasib the Philistine. Now Yisrael had been put to shame before the Philistines, and the children of Yisrael went up after Shaul in Gilgal. And the Philistines gathered together to war with Yisrael, and then come up against Israel 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand by the seashore for multitude. And they come up and encamp at Michmash, opposite Beth Horon, southward. And the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, so that they could not draw nigh. And the people hid themselves in caves and sheepfolds and rocks and ditches and pits. And they that went over went over Yarden to the land of Gad and Gilead. And Shaul was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed after him in amazement. And he continued 7 days for the appointed testimony. Oh, yeah, see, so it was that 7 day waiting period that he messed up on. It just didn't cover it yet. Please forgive me. And he continued 7 days for the appointed testimony, as Shemuel told him. And Samuel came not to Gilgal, and his people were dispersed from him. And Shaul said, bring hither, that I may offer whole burnt offerings and shalom offerings. And he offered the whole burnt offering. And it came to pass when he had finished offering the whole burnt offering, that Samuel arrived, and Shaul went out to meet him, to bless him. And Shemuel said, what have you done? And Shaul said, because I saw how the people were scattered, were scattered from me, and you were not present, and you proposed according to the set time of days, and the Philistines were gathered to Michmash. Then I said, now will the Philistines come down to me to Gilgal, and I have not sought the face of Yahuwah. So I forced myself and offered the whole burnt offering. And Samuel said to Shaul, you have done foolishly, for you have not kept the commandment, or my command, which Yahuwah commanded me, or you, rather. As now Yahuwah would have confirmed you, or confirmed your kingdom over Yisrael forever. But now your kingdom shall not stand, and Yahuwah shall seek for himself a man after his own heart, and Yahuwah shall appoint him to be a ruler over his people, because you have not kept all that Yahuwah commanded you. And Samuel arose and departed from Gilgal, and the remnant of the people went after Shaul to meet after the men of war. When they had gone out, or come out of Gilgal to Gibeah of Benjamin, and Shaul numbered the people that were found with him, about 600 men. And Shaul and Yahunathan his son, and the people that were found with them, halted in Gibeah of Benjamin, and they wept, and the Philistines had encamped in Michmash. And men came forth to destroy out of the land of the Philistines in 3 companies, one company turning by way of Gophira toward the land of Segal, and another company turning the way of Beth Horon, and another company turning by the way of Gibeah, that turns aside to Ai of Sabim. And there was not found a smith in all the land of Israel. For the Philistines said, lest the Hebrews make themselves a sword or spear. And all Israel went down to the land of the Philistines to forge every one his reaping hook and his tool, and every one his axe and his sickle. And it came to pass in the days of the war of Michmash that there was not a sword or spear found in the hand of all the people that were with Saul and Jehonathan, but with Saul and Jehonathan his son was there found. So the king has the sword, but not all the people did at that time. And there went out some from the camp of the Philistines to the place beyond Michmash. All right, I think we have one more before we have to wrap things up there. So, oh, this one's a longer one. I'll try to hurry. This actually has the part with the Philistine garrison that I was talking about. So Jehonathan, unwitting to his father, the Kohen, or the people, goes and miraculously smites the Philistine garrison. A divine terror makes them beat themselves. Shaul, not staying the Kohanim, sets on them. The captivated Hebrews and the hidden Israeli join against them, and Saul's unadvised adjuration hinders the victory. He restrains the people from eating blood. He builds an altar, and Jehonathan, taken by Lot, is saved by the people. Shaul's strength of family, and family, rather. And when a certain day arrived, Jehonathan, the son of Shaul, said to the young man that bore his armor, come and let us go over to Mesab of the Philistines, that is on the other side yonder. But he told not his father. And Shaul sat on the top of the hill under the pomegranate tree that is in Magdon, and there were about 600 men. And Achiyah, the son of Achitub, which is my father's Yah, and my father is good, right? Or my father's best. We'd get the word bet from the word uh, tov in English. It's just backwards. But either way, it says, and in the midst of the passage whereby Jehonathan sought to pass over the encampment of the Philistines, there was both a sharp rock on the side and a sharp rock on the other side. The name of the one was Bases, and the name of the other Sanah, or Sina. The one way northward to the one coming to Michmash, and the other way was southward to the one coming to Gibeah. And Jehonathan said to the young man that bore his armor, come and let us go over to Mesab of these uncircumcised, if peradventure Yahuwah may do something for us. For Yahuwah is not straitened to save by many or by few. And his armor bearer said to him, do all that is in your, or do all that your heart inclines toward. Behold, I am with you. My heart is as your heart. And Jehonathan said, behold, we will go over to the men, and will come down suddenly upon them. If they should say to us, stand aloof there until we shall send you word, then we will stand still by ourselves, and will not go up against them. But if they should say thus to us, come up to us, then we will go up, for Yahuwah has delivered them into our hands. This shall be a sign to us. So he declares that our creator, Yahuwah, he's not weak or lacking the power to save by whatever means he wants to. And to show us if it's his will that he would deliver through them, he gives a condition that he has no control over whatever, but the truth can reign. It says, and they both went into Mesab of the Philistines. And the Philistines said, behold, the Hebrews come forth out of their caves, where they had hidden themselves. And the men of Nisab, or Mesab rather, answered Yahu Nathan and his armor bearer and said, come up to us, and we will show you a thing. And Yahu Nathan said to his armor bearer, come up after me, for Yahuwah has delivered them into the hands of Israel, or Yisrael. And Yahu Nathan went up on his hands and feet, and his armor bearer with him. And they looked on the face of Yahu Nathan, and he smote them, and his armor bearer did smite after him. And the first slaughter which Yahu Nathan and his armor bearer effected was 20 men, with darts and slings and pebbles of the field. And there was dismay in the camp and in the field, and all the people of Mesab and the spoilers were amazed, and they would not act. And the land was terror struck, and there was dismay from Yahuwah. And the watchmen of Shaul beheld in Gibeah of Benjamin, and behold, the army was thrown into confusion on every side. And Shaul said to the people with him, number yourselves now, and see who has gone out from you. And they numbered themselves, and behold, Yahu Nathan and his armor bearer were not found. And Shaul said to Achijah, bring the ephod, for he wore the ephod in that day before Yisrael. And it came to pass while Shaul was speaking to the Kohen, that the sound in the camp of the Philistines continued to increase greatly. And Saul said to the Kohen, withdraw your hands. And Saul went up, and all the people that were with him, and they come to the battle. And behold, every man's sword was against his neighbor, a very great confusion. And the servants who had been before the Philistines, who had gone up to the army, turned themselves also to be with the Israeli, who were with Shaul and Yahu Nathan. Interesting. So the ones that were made captive freed themselves and also helped fight against the Philistines. You find that same kind of thing happening in the ancient history of Caldonia, when the Chaldeans had already settled in their promised land, what we call Scotland, and the Romans went to invade them. They had brought slaves from the mainland of the Waldensians, who were a branch off of them. And when they realized that it was their own people, they defected. But it says, and the servants who had been before with the Philistines, who had gone up to the army, turned themselves also to be with the Israeli, who were with Saul and Yahu Nathan. And all the Israeli who were hidden in Mount Ephraim heard also that the Philistines fled. And they also gathered themselves after them to battle. And Yahuwah saved Israel in that day, and the war passed through Bamoth. And all the people with Saul were about 10,000 men. And the battle extended itself to every city in Mount Ephraim. And Saul committed a great trespass of ignorance in that day, and he lays a curse on the people, saying, cursed is the man who shall eat bread before the evening. So will I avenge myself on my enemy. And none of the people tasted bread, though all the land was dining. And Yaal was a wood abounding in swarms of bees on the face of the ground. And the people went into the place of the bees, and behold, they continued speaking. And behold, there was none that put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath of Yahuwah. And Yahunathan heard not, or had not heard, when his father adjured the people. And he reached forth the end of the staff that was in his right, or in his hand, and dipped it into the honeycomb, and returned his hand to his mouth, and his eyes recovered their sight. And one of the people answered and said, Your father solemnly adjured the people, saying, Cursed is the man who shall eat bread today. And the people were very faint. And Yahunathan knew it and said, My father has destroyed the land. See how my eyes have received sight, that I have tasted a little of this honey. Surely, if the people had this day eaten freely of the spoils of their enemies which they found, the slaughter among the Philistines would have been greater. On that day he smote some of the Philistines in Michmash, and the people were very weary. And the people turned to the spoil, and the people took flocks and herds and calves, and slew them on the ground, and the people ate with the blood. And it was reported to Saul, saying, The people have sinned against Yahuwah, eating with the blood. Now, that is a little different. It just says they slaughtered them on the ground and they ate with it, not that they were eating blood itself. But if you recall, Abraham was commanded to bury the blood, pour it out, and cover it before you were to consume your food so that no blood was present. And that's what they passed down on to the children. And it was reported to Saul, saying, The people have sinned against Yahuwah, eating with the blood. And Shaul said, Out of Gathaim, roll a great stone to me hither, or to me here. And Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and tell them to bring here every one his calf, and every one his sheep, and let them slay it on the stone, and sin not against Yahuwah in eating with the blood. And the people brought each one that was in his hand, and they slew them there. And Shaul built an altar there to Yahuwah. This was the first altar that Shaul built to Yahuwah. And Shaul said, Let us go down after the Philistines this night, and let us plunder among them till the daybreak, and let us not leave a man from among them. And they said, Do all that is good in your sight. And the Kohen said, Let us draw nigh here to Elohim. And Shaul inquired of Elohim, If I go down after the Philistines, will you deliver them into the hands of Israel? And he answered him not in that day. And Shaul said, Bring here all the chiefs of Israel, and know and see by whom this sin is committed this day. So you can see that he's not getting the answer he immediately knows. There's a reason for it. So he's trying to discover what is the cause of that. And Shaul said, Bring here all the chiefs. Or I'm sorry, we already did that one. For as Yahuwah lives, who has saved Israel, if answer should be against my son Yahunathan, he shall surely die. And there was no one that answered him out of all the people. And he said to all the men of Israel, You shall be under subjection, and I and Yahunathan my son will be under subjection. And the people said to Shaul, Do that which is good in your sight. And Shaul said, Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, why have you not answered your servant this day? The iniquity in me, or in Yahunathan my son? Yahuwah Elohim of Yisrael, give clear manifestations, and if the lot should declare this, give, I pray you, to your people Israel. Give, I pray you, set apartness. And Yahunathan and Shaul were taken, and the people escaped. And Saul said, Cast lots between me and my son Yahunathan. Whomever Yahuwah shall cause to be taken by lot, let him die. And the people said to Shaul, "This thing is not to be done." And Shaul prevailed against the people, and they cast lots between him and Yahunathan his son. And Yahunathan is taken by Lot. And Shaul said to Yahunathan, "Tell me what you have done." And Yahunathan told him and said, "I did indeed taste a little honey with the end of my staff that was in my hand, and behold, I am to die." And Shaul said to him, "Elohim do so to me, and more also. You shall surely die today." And the people said to Shaul, "Shall he that has wrought this great salvation in Israel be put to death this day?" So you see, when he had had a deliverance beforehand, he wouldn't let those that reviled him be put to death. But now that he's said it himself, he feels compelled that he has to follow through with his word to kill his own son for his own mistake. And the people said to Shaul, "Shall he that has wrought this great salvation in Israel be put to death this day? As Yahuwah lives, there shall not fall to the ground one of the hairs of his, or one of the hairs of his head. For the people of Elohim have wrought successfully this day." And the people prayed for Yahunathan in that day, and he died not. And Shaul went up from following the Philistines, and the Philistines departed to their place. And Shaul received the kingdom. By lot he inherits the office over Israel, or Yisrael, and he fought against all his enemies round about, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against the children of Edom, and against Beth, Beth Peor, and against the king of Zobah, and against the Philistines. Wheresoever he turned, he was victorious. And he wrought valiantly and smote Amalek, and rescued Israel out of the hand of them that trampled him, or trampled on him. And the sons of Shaul were Yahunathan, and Yishi, and Melchisha, and these were the names of his two daughters. The name of the firstborn was Merob, and the name of the second was, it says Michael there, Michal. And the name of his wife was Achinum, the daughter of Achimaaz. And the name of his captain of his host was Abner, and the son of Ner, the son of a kinsman of Shaul. And Kish was the father of Shaul, and Ner, the father of Ebenezer, was the son of Yamin, the son of Abiel. And the war was vehement against the Philistines all the days of Shaul. And when Shaul saw any mighty man and any valiant man, then he took him to himself. So he was not a coward in trying to protect the people. And even as you see, he went apostate from the truth and was rejected from continuing in the reign. The fact that our Creator said that the Philistines would be, you would liberate the people from the Philistines or begin to, was still a valid thing that was going to happen. All right, and I think that's going to have to wrap it up for today. We'll be able to continue with chapter 15 next week. You all have a great rest of your Sabbath, great Shavua Tov, and we will talk to you next time. Shabbat Shalom.